This young man here is Vijay. He wanted to propose to the girl he loved, but the proposal was immediately rejected when the woman's family found out that Vijay worked as a manager at a condom factory. Finally, the next day, Vijay chose to resign from his job because if he continued to work there, it would be difficult for him to get married. All because at that time, there was a stigma that working in a company like that was something inappropriate. Lamba, as the owner of the company, tried to prevent Vijay from resigning, but Vijay still left because he wanted to get married. In an area known as Karnal, there is a girl named Sanya who is a chemistry graduate. She didn't have a job, so to fill her time, she taught kids about chemistry by opening private tutoring for chemistry subjects. Sanya has a mother who spent most of her time gambling with the youths because she wanted to earn a lot of money and because Sanya couldn't get a job yet. Hearing her mother's statement like that, Sanya promised that she would find a job tomorrow. The next day, Sanya went to a job interview by taking a bus. There she met a man named Rishi. As a nice guy, Rishi offered Sanya to sit in his seat, but Sanya misunderstood and thought that Rishi was just teasing her. After Sanya did the interview, good luck was not been on her side as she was again rejected for the job. One afternoon, Tanya and some children were playing with kites. Her kite attracted attention because she put 2,000 rupees on it. Lamba's son, who sees that, was also interested in winning that kite, but the thread used was so strong that Lamba's son used a stick to get the kite instead. Sanya knew that the kite was pulled with a stick and then chased the kite because the kid cheated. Sanya caught up to Lamba's house. On the other hand, Lamba's son tried to break the thread on the kite, but he was having a lot of trouble because the thread used by Sanya was as strong as steel. But then, when Sanya tried to break the thread, she could easily do that. This made the kid, including Lamba, who was also there, surprised and amazed. Sanya said that it only uses chemistry, and if you know the knowledge, it will be easy to do. Amazed, Lamba then asked about Sanya's background. Sanya said that she is a chemistry graduate. Lamba also asked about her job. She then revealed that she was unemployed and was using her free time to teach the kids around the neighborhood. Sanya also offered to teach Lamba's son if he wanted to. After that, Sanya left from there while Lamba was very happy because he knew that he had found a replacement for Vijay who had resigned. A few days later, Lamba waited for Sanya at the bus stop where she usually waited for the bus. He then tried to offer Sanya a job at his condom company. Upon listening to the offer, Sanya was immediately angry because she felt that the job was unethical. Lamba tried to convince her that the job was not as bad as she thought and that she should come to the company first. Sanya, who hadn't gotten any job, finally decided to visit Lamba's company. Upon her visit, Sanya told Lamba that if he wanted her to take the job, she had a condition. She wanted a salary of 50,000 rupees per month and that her identity must be kept secret so that no one knew if she worked there. Lamba agreed to the condition. Apart from that, Lamba also had a condition, namely that Sanya cannot leave the company for at least 1 year. They both finally agreed. After that, Sanya went home happily and told her mother that she got a well-paid job as the head of quality control at an umbrella factory with a salary of 50,000 rupees per month. Hearing that, her mother was very happy. The next day, Sanya started to work right after signing the contract. Lamba explained that Sanya had to maintain the quality of the condoms they made. Sanya had to do a series of tests to make sure the condoms met the requirements or not, such as airtight tests and so on.
Sorry, Putraji.
Days passed and Sanya did her work nicely until one day, she found the latex storage division working unprofessionally. Knowing that latex was the main material of the product, she knew the problem was fatal. She then asked Lamba to order new latex to be used and explain how to store latex safely and hygienically so that the quality remained unchanged. Sometime later, Sanya came to her friend's engagement celebration. At the event, Sanya once again met Rishi. Both of them then became acquainted. Sanya said that she worked as the head of QC at an umbrella factory, while Rishi said that he worked in a shop that sells religious stuff belonging to his parents. On that occasion, Sanya also apologized to Rishi for her behavior some time ago when they met on the bus. After that fateful night, they became closer. They tended to spend time together until the seed of love grew between them. They finally decided to get engaged, and soon after that, they decided to get married. Meanwhile, Sanya still kept her real job a secret. Sanya then asked Lamba for permission to leave, and he was happy to give the permission, but Lamba said that he wouldn't come to her wedding because he was worried that he might embarrass her. Lamba only advised that relationships should start with honesty. However, Sanya was still not sure because Rishi's family is very devout. Lamba only replied that her job was not something to be embarrassed about because her job helped to save many people. After returning from work, Sanya contemplated whether she would be honest or not. Sanya then confided to her sister because she was not ready to get honest, but her sister, Anita, reminded her that she couldn't hide all of that forever. Sanya said that her contract will expire 3 months after she got married. Until then, she will hide her real job until the contract expired. Soon after, the marriage between Sanya and Rishi took place, and since they were married, Sanya officially became the Carla family, the family who became role models for the local people. She became close to other family members in no time, and even her job as the head QC for an umbrella company became the pride of the family. One day, Sanya was about to leave for work when Rajan, Rishi's brother, asked Rishi to take her to work. Sanya was worried that her husband would know the real job, so she tried to refuse, but Rajan insisted Rishi took her to work. She had no other choice but to take the offer. Sanya then pretended to get off in front of an umbrella factory, then pretended to enter, and after her husband left, Sanya then continued on to the condom factory. Rajan is a biology teacher at a well-known high school. On that day, the material to be taught was the reproduction chapter. Rajan saw there was a male student who was impolite, so in order to keep things orderly, he divided the class into males and females. But even though they had been divided, he still taught the reproduction chapter vaguely, avoiding the specific materials that he thought inappropriate. The next day, Rajan's daughter named Lily asked Sanya's help to teach the reproduction chapter. Sanya asked why didn't just ask Rajan to teach her. That was when Lily said that her father wouldn't want to teach her because he said that it was inappropriate, so she asked for help from her. Lily only asked to be explained about the female reproductive organs, but Sanya said that all reproductive organs were important to learn. One afternoon, Sanya found Nisha, Rajan's wife, lying weakly on the floor. After being examined by the doctor, it was found that Nisha had had 2 abortions before and now she was physically weak. Therefore, Nisha was not allowed to get pregnant again. In addition, the doctor also suggested that Nisha use protection during sex. After the doctor left, Nisha said that she could not wait for menopause so she wouldn't be afraid of getting pregnant again. Nisha also said that she had abortions because she felt that she had had enough children, and if she took birth control pills, her body would get sick, but if she complained to her husband, he would only scold her. Not only that, Nisha actually already offered to wear protection, but he didn't want to. He even scolded her because he thought it was unethical. After coming home from the hospital, Nisha forbade Sanya to tell everything to Rajan, but it made Lily sad. She was afraid of losing her mother because it was not her first time seeing her mother like that. Lily was confused about what to do. She then confided to Sanya. The next day, Sanya, who realized how important contraception was, tore up her contract in front of Lamba. She said that she would work there for the rest of her life with all her heart to save the woman. Sanya continued to strive to improve product quality. Sanya improved production management, and the test results show that the safety quality reached 97%. Not only that, but Sanya also asked Rishi to use protection when having sex. Rishi initially refused the idea because they were married, but Sanya said that if they weren't ready to have a child yet, then it is important to use protection. She even threatened not to do it if Rishi refused to use protection. Therefore, the next day, Rishi bought a condom, even though he was embarrassed. At night, the 2 of them finally did it. Sanya was happy because Rishi complied with her wishes. The next day, Sanya told Nisha that Rishi had agreed to use a condom and suggested she try to persuade her husband to use a condom, but Nisha said that her husband was very different from Rishi. Sanya's mission to save women did not stop at Nisha. Sanya also gathered mothers to provide sex education to them. Sanya told them the importance of using protection during intercourse because taking too many contraceptive pills can harm the body. That mothers were not sure if their husbands will want to use protection, but Sanya shared how to seduce their husbands based on her experience with Rishi. After that, the mothers managed to make their husbands use condoms. They flocked to buy them at the drugstore. Of course, it gave Lamba's company an advantage. On the other hand, the owner of the drugstore, who had the same principle as Rajan, was angry. He didn't like the number of people buying condoms. Therefore, he then provoked the husbands not to submit to their wives because they are leaders. Since then, the husbands refused their wives' invitations for protected intercourse. They even said that they could find pleasure outside. That made the mothers feel restless and complain about that to Sanya. Sanya tried to convince the mothers that was just a bluff from the husbands, but the mothers did not dare to take risks with their households. In the end, the mothers refused to continue their effort. Sanya then confided with her sister. Anita said that it is natural, because poor women have always been obliged to obey what their husbands said without being allowed to argue, and there was no democracy on the way out of it. Anita then suggested Sanya confess everything to Rishi. Anita was sure that Rishi would understand because he is her husband. After contemplating, Sanya finally made up his mind to tell Rishi everything, but before she could even say it, outside of the house, people flocked to demonstrate. They protested because it was Sanya who turned out to be the person in charge of testing the safety of condoms. They got the information from an article in a newspaper that stated that Sanya was the head of the QC for a condom factory. Rajan, as her brother-in-law, defended her because he was sure that it was all slander. Rajan said that Sanya worked at an umbrella factory. Unexpectedly, Sanya finally admitted that she had been working as the head QC at the condom factory. That confession made everyone shocked, especially Rajan. Her confession had tainted their family name because Carla's family is known as a religious family. Rajan then promised the residents to solve this problem as soon as possible. Considering that Carla's family is respectable, the residents immediately dispersed. After everyone left, Rajan immediately asked how long had Sanya been working at the condoms factory. She then said that she had been working there long before she got married. Rajan then asked Rishi to deliver Sanya's resignation letter to the condom company. Sanya tried to apologize to Rajan by saying that the job is not despicable because it saves many people, but Rajan ignored her because he considered the job illegal and violated the norms. Sanya asked Rishi to defend her, but Rishi didn't say anything. Rishi said that he was disappointed in Sanya because she had lied to him and his family. Rajan then told Rishi to immediately deliver Sanya's resignation letter and that he would assign Sanya as a chemistry teacher at the school where he worked, and then the residents will gradually forget about this problem. On the other hand, Sanya was beyond disappointed because no one in the house understood her, so she packed her things and chose to go to her mother's house back. A few days later, Lamba and his staff visited Sanya's mother's house. He expressed his concern about what had happened to Sanya. Lamba said that he didn't know anything about the news in the newspaper and that it was not him who leaked about Sanya in the newspaper, but based on the information he got, it was Vijay who bribed someone to make an article about Sanya in the media because he is jealous of her. Lamba's staff also praised Sanya for wanting to give sex education to mothers so they could be saved. He said that if Sanya told his wife earlier, then his wife might still be there now. Upon hearing that, Sanya suddenly remembered about Lily and Nisha. She knew that nobody cared enough to teach Lily about sex education for her, including her father, although he is a biology teacher. Her father should instead be able to provide knowledge for her. Therefore, Sanya made up her mind to try to make Rajan willing to teach Lily about sex education. Apart from that, she will also provide education starting from the roots to the community. A few days later, Sanya went to Rajan's school to apply to be a teacher, but she asked that the material regarding the reproduction chapter be explained in detail, not just as a formality, but the principal was actually engrossed in boasting about the school's achievements, and he also brought up the problem that had embarrassed Carla's family. It didn't stop there. The principal also kicked Sanya out of his room, but Sanya was not discouraged. She then invited the students to study the reproduction chapter through a secret message on a kite. Sanya allowed them to ask any questions about reproduction, and that she would explain them academically. The students flocked to visit Sanya's class, which was open free of charge. Lily, who saw that, also wanted to study together, but Rajan forbade her. Not only that, Rajan also chased away the children who wanted to study in her class because she taught inappropriate things to them, but Sanya argued that what she did was right because the children were going through puberty and it couldn't be prevented. The children might get curious about the various changes that are happening to them and therefore they will try to find out about it. Sanya said that if they are not accompanied and given the right knowledge, it will be bad for them. On the other hand, Rishi, who was in a bad mood, was suddenly visited by his father. His father knew that Rishi really missed Sanya. His father suggested he rethink their relationship. His father then told him a story about when his company went bankrupt. He used to work as an animal slaughterer so he could support Rishi and the family, but he had to lie to his family because they were a respectable family. According to that, his father said that what is wrong and what is right depends on how they see it. He also added that at this time, Sanya was struggling all by herself against everyone, but despite the obstacles, she didn't care about all of that because for her, what she was doing was right. The father then said that what Sanya said was worth considering. The next day, when Sanya was waiting for his students, she was suddenly ambushed by the police. Rishi, who saw that, immediately went to his shop to take some money and bail her out. But when Rishi was about to leave, Rajan prevented him from doing what he was about to do. Rajan said that he did everything for Rishi. Rishi, who knew that Rajan was the one that made the police arrest Sanya, couldn't stay silent, but Rajan threatened to fire Rishi from the shop if he bailed her out and said that he wouldn't be able to find another job because he didn't finish school. Rishi, who was fed up with his brother belittling him, replied that even with his knowledge, Rajan was nothing but an illiterate and heartless human being. Rishi then met Sanya at the police station. Rishi also apologized to her, and in the end, they both reconciled. They then went to the class that Sanya built herself. They were very sad to find the place demolished and all the books got wet in the rain. They tried to save as much as they could, and soon after, the students started showing up and covering them from the rain. The next day, Rajan woke up after hearing the children were studying reproduction in front of his house. At first, Rajan got mad and ordered the children to disperse, accompanied by threats to them, but his father and mother now became supportive of Sanya. Not only that, but Nisha also supported what Sanya did. She also added that if she actually had 2 miscarriages and 2 abortions because she could not complain because talking about sex was too taboo, especially since women were not allowed to speak up and sexual activity was considered an obligation without knowing the side effects that could harm them. Lily then said something that had been kept secret, that her mother had been hospitalized due to unhealthy sex. Lily said that she was afraid that what happened to her mother would also happen to her. Upon hearing that, Rajan finally realized how important sex education from an early age is, and Rajan finally allowed the reproductive chapter to be taught to teenagers not only around their homes but throughout Karnal.